Hey everybody, it's been a while, so I thought I'd just make a quick video about what I've been up to today. So today I went over to one of the local museums here in Kumamoto, and they were having a really interesting art exhibit. And it was art of a guy named Nizo Yamamoto, and he was basically best known for being a background artist on a lot of the Studio Ghibli movies. And here's a goodie I grabbed. It's a clear file, kind of like a little file. You put papers in if you know one of those. And if you're familiar with the Studio Ghibli movies, you undoubtedly recognize this as being a shot from the movie Castle in the Sky, one of their most famous movies, and in my opinion, one of their best. And yeah, Yamamoto did artwork for that. In fact, it's kind of nice with this one. He even wrote on there that this particular bit of art was done on June 27th, 1986. And he also made a special piece of art for here in Kumamoto, kind of help support the city after the earthquake. You can't really see it that well. Yeah, that one's, I think, for some reason a little easier to see. This is actually, like, where this is in town is actually just down the street from where I work. So if it went on just a little bit further, you would actually be able to see the building I work in. Anyway, you weren't allowed to take pictures inside the exhibit, which was kind of a bummer, but mostly it was just, you know, things, backgrounds that he had painted for these various movies. There were some storyboards. I saw stuff for stuff like, well, of course, Castle in the Sky. They had stuff from um, Princess Mononoke. Grave of the Fireflies was in there. Some of the other stuff that was also from Studio Ghibli that's maybe a little less known, like Sherlock Hound, and there's that really great Lupin the Third movie. Things like The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. I don't think that's a Studio Ghibli movie. Well, in any case, it wasn't just his Studio Ghibli stuff. It was things from various things he's worked on. Girl Who Leapt Through Time was one of those movies. Eritrean Odyssey 4, he worked on that game. There's something called like the Knights of Chocolate that he had done things for. I mean, it's all just absolutely gorgeous artwork. And being able to really just sort of zoom in on that and just like really drink in the details. If you pay attention in the movies, of course, you notice that they're really beautiful there in the background. But, there's a difference between watching something on screen and like having the thing that was actually painted by the artist right there in front of you where you can really focus in on all the little things. It's really pretty amazing. Although there are occasional times where if you look really closely, you can sort of see where he might have cheated a little bit. I remember there was actually one scene, one little background I noticed for, I'm pretty sure it was actually Castle in the Sky, where you can sort of see that it's much less detailed than a lot of the other stuff that he had worked on. And, I kind of got the impression this one might have been thrown together in a bit of a hurry. Other things, it was little subtle stuff like the stem of a mushroom not quite touching the cap. On the other hand, there were moments where you could just look at something there was a thing I was looking at for it was for Princess Mononoke, and you could just see like there were these tiny little blue flowers, and I don't know flowers, so I can't really tell you what their name is in English, but I looked at that and I was just like, oh, I know what I know what type of flower that's supposed to be. I recognize it. But again, this is something that like just like the individual things of the flowers, they're like maybe half the size of a grain of rice. But even then, just seeing that much of it and the way it was done and the shape, I immediately grasped. Oh, I'm supposed to be seeing this as this real world flower, which was actually really amazing. And the price to get in was actually really good too. Normally it was $10, but I actually went to the wrong museum by mistake. There's like three museums in fairly close proximity to each other. but they basically told me, oh, if you buy the ticket here, we'll knock $2 off the price. I'm like, oh, well, okay. So I'm not going to complain about saving $2. Um, but still, the regular price was 1,000 yen, or which is roughly $10, and I got it for 800 yen, which was again roughly $8. These little clear files that I picked up, they were going for 450 yen each, so a little bit over $4. I like to get clear files as souvenirs for various things that I go to, just because they're cheap. You can actually use them. They're practical. I have several of them that I use at my job to just kind of help keep my papers organized. And they're just a nice gift if you want to give them to one of your friends, especially stuff that you're probably not going to be able to get your hands on outside of Japan. It's very practical on a lot of levels. Um, I was actually genuinely really impressed to see something like this here in Kumamoto. Kumamoto, I mean, it's a good-sized city. It's probably the number two city in Kyushu, but it really is a far cry from where the real heart of Japanese culture is, which is of course Tokyo and the other major cities like Kyoto and Osaka. All that's a pretty good haul away. I mean, I am basically closer to South Korea than I am to Tokyo, just in the way things break down. But having cool stuff like this come down here, that's it's always a nice bonus. It's kind of nice to know that this area of Japan is not being culturally neglected. Before this, we actually got the really awesome Evangelion sword collection. Oh my god, that was the best thing ever. Um, anyway, let's see what else. What else? Oh yeah, so I picked those clear files up in this little gift shop they had, and they were selling these limited edition prints of Yamamoto's art. Some of his famous things like these pictures here. Um, yeah, this is actually not part of the clear file. I grabbed some flyers for an exhibit I want to go and check out later because they had some really pretty art on them. But anyway, they had those, and they were individually signed by the artist, and they were numbered too. There was like 100 of each of them, and the cheapest one was basically going for $1,000. The most expensive one was actually pretty large. It was this painting he had done of some trees that I actually did see there at the exhibit. This sort of same area of trees during the 4 different seasons, which, to be fair, is really, really just absolutely gorgeous. But that was going for $1,700. Now, in all fairness, there's the original and there's these 100 prints, so there's like literally 101 of these in the entire world. And this guy, it has a pretty impressive resume as an artist. So yeah, but still, I just like, wow, that's some serious cash. On the other hand, I have no doubt that people who are fans of this gentleman are really gonna line up to pick stuff like that up. And there was one other thing that I did notice in there. Like I said, he did some things that were outside of entertainment. He did a little bit of work for some games. He actually painted some stuff for like the city of Nagasaki as part of tourism from some tourist stuff. He did some art for a hotel. But there was actually this one thing that I noticed that he had done, and that was this rather kind of quirky painting of his father. I was actually very pleased that they included that in the exhibit. Just kind of helped give you a little bit more of an impression of the artist himself's personality. And oh yeah, one thing that is kind of interesting is they did have these little signs that sort of gave you a brief description of what it was that you were looking at and what film it was from in English. But it was pretty clear that this was being done probably most likely with Google Translate, and then there were one or two where the explanation was a full-on sentence that probably someone had tried to clean up manually, but had basically screwed up on. Like there was like serious typos, like a lot being mashed together, like words like two words being stuck together, and one of them they were trying to say the word grove, but the V sound doesn't exist in Japanese, so it somehow got typed as Grobe. So yeah, that was kind of amusing. Um, but anyway, this, like I said, this was kind of a fun thing that I got up to today. Definitely a worthwhile way to spend a little bit of time, and I got a pretty good amount of bang for my buck. So until next time, everybody, I'll catch you later.